Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Now I was brainstorming away the other day, and I was trying to think what would be like a cool kind of story time video to do. And then my partner sort of piped up and he was like, well, what about the story of our first date? And I sat there and I was like, well, how do you mean? And then I remembered how mildly embarrassing it was. So we're going to go back in time. I'm going to set the scene for you. It is May of 2015 and we're going on our first date and it's lovely. We're going to a nice little coffee shop in town, which was lovely. For coffee, I order like a massive hot chocolate with like all of the extras like whipped cream and, you know, marshmallows, you know, completely expecting, you know, I'm going to pay for myself, it'll be fine. He says no, you know, he just gets like a normal coffee, like a normal person, and then like insists that he pays. So then I feel really bad that I've ordered this really expensive hot chocolate. So, you know, we chat, we find out that we have a hell of a lot in common. You know, we both enjoy gaming, we're both massively into musical theatre, which is like a whoop for me. You know, we have incredibly like a lot of the same interests, which is what you really want to find in a partner. And it's going really well, and then we decide, hey, you know, let's go for a walk. So, you know, we have a wander around town. You know, you've got like the cafe here, and like just behind it you've got a park, which is lovely. So, you know, we walk around town for a little bit, we walk down along the seafront, and then we walk up into the park. Now I'm sort of starting to realise as we're walking that my feet are hurting. Cue the culprit. I still have these shoes because they're lovely. I don't really wear them very often anymore though, because they hurt. So I'd broken those shoes in quite a bit before I'd had those shoes for probably around 2 years by this point. I hadn't really worn them that often, and I guess when I had worn them, it had been in short sort of expanses of time. So we're walking along, you know, we're having a really nice time, and I start to realise that my feet are starting to hurt. But I think nothing of it, it's fine. This is going really well. I've never dated before in my life. At all. So I've had no practice in this whatsoever. So, you know, we're walking along, we're having a really nice time, we're chatting. We head into the park and we go and sit down on the bandstand. And we're sat there, you know, just chatting a little bit more. And I sort of think to myself, I'm gonna sort of try and have a look at my feet. Do you mind? I'm telling a story. So anyway, we sit on this bandstand and I'm starting to think I'm gonna have to check my feet, but I want to do it discreetly. So, I don't know, anxiety, all that thing. So I look down and the only thing I can describe this as is like a foot massacre. So what's happened is these shoes have rubbed on my heels and made them bleed. The problem is, these shoes are tan in colour. I'm not going to show you the inside of my shoe, but you can actually still see like an outline. Obviously I've washed these since, you know, this is like 5 years ago. There's like still like a slight outline of where me and my mum had to scrub the blood out of my shoes, but they're, you know, they're a light tan colour. So blood shows up quite well on light coloured things. Also I happen to be wearing light blue jeans, which, because I'm short, I always have like a little bunched bit at the bottom of my jeans. But, you know, sort of like look back up, you know, we carry on talking. He looks me dead in the eye and he says, are you okay? And I play stupid. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, what do you mean? And he was like, your feet are bleeding. And I was like, no, it's cool. Like, it's absolutely fine. And he was like, shall we go and like find a plaster? I completely play this whole thing off. I pretend I'm not in pain. Like, I am absolutely dandy. And so we sit and we chat for a little bit long. You know, he keeps trying to check. He's like, are you sure? Like, are your feet okay? Like, your feet are literally bleeding. And I'm like, no, I'm absolutely fine. I then suggest that we continue walking. So we carry on. By this point, you know, before we'd stopped, we'd been walking for like half an hour just around like the town centre and like along the seafront. So we then continue to walk probably for a further 45 minutes. You know, and he keeps sort of stopping and checking, you know, Do you want to go sit down? Like, are you okay? I'm like, no, absolutely fine. Like, while my feet are in so much pain, it's unreal. And still bleeding. So we carry on, we walk, and then it's time for me, because we had our first date on a Sunday, it's time for me to get like the last bus home, which, because I used to live in the middle of nowhere, was at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We're at the bus stop, we're chatting, I'm starting to get really sort of flustered, because, you know, this date's gone really well, like I really like this guy, because I've never been in this situation before. Like, my only sort of reaction is to get really giddy, and really embarrassing. So he likes to tease me about it nowadays. He teases me about this whole fiasco constantly, anytime I go to put these shoes on. Bus arrives, I go to get on the bus, he sort of goes to give me like a quick like peck, but I turn my head to get on the bus, so it sort of collides with like this part of my face, and I was like, oh, like, you know, start laughing like a small school child. Quite embarrassing. So, but you know, we say goodbye, I get on the bus, I pay for my bus ticket and I sit down. By this point I haven't quite realised how bad my feet are bleeding, so I sit down and I think, okay, I'll take a look. And I look down, and I kid you not, let me get my shoe back for reference. So before the blood was just sort of here, by this point it's running down the side of my shoe. This whole back section here is covered in blood, like it's running down. My jeans have like a good inch, but because they're bunched up at the bottom, it's soaked into like each bunch. So when I got home and like took my jeans off, it from like this to like this, it was not cute. So I'm sat on the bus sort of like, oh my god, like my feet are like mega bleeding, like, but I had a really good time. So, you know, worth it, yes, by this point, because, you know, we're engaged, we're getting married next year. I'm on the bus and I can hear these two little old ladies behind me sort of chatting, and I hear one of them gasp, and she's like, oh my goodness, Barbara, do you think she's okay? Her feet are bleeding, and I don't know, Marjorie, should we ask her? No. I can hear this, and I'm just staring straight ahead, just like, just do not make contact. And then I think, I'm gonna have to phone my mum to meet me off of the bus, because this bus doesn't stop too close to my house. It's probably like a 5-10 minute walk, and by this point I am in so much pain, and I'm like, I don't want to walk home barefoot. Now, continuing on from this, my mum didn't know that I'd gone on this date. Neither did my dad. I told neither of them that I was going on this date. But my mum, probably how mums are, my mum had figured it out, because I had spent the whole morning getting dolled up, looking really nice, like looking my best, like saying to her, like before I went out, like, oh, like, do I look okay? And she was like, well, yeah, you look fine, like, you never like dress up this much to like go and see your friends. And I was just like, oh, I just really wanted to make an effort today. So I ring her, I'm like, Mum, can you like come and meet me off of the bus? And she was like, well, I'm about to take the dog for a walk. I'm like, no, I really need you to meet me from the bus, and I need you to bring me a spare pair of shoes. And she was like, did your shoes rub? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I'm in a lot of pain, can you come meet me? So my mum, the absolute hero that she is, comes to meet me off of the bus. Doesn't ask any questions straight off the bat, so take those shoes off, change them up. Like, she is like, oh my god, like, you're like, this is really bad, like, I don't know how we're gonna get this amount of blood out of your jeans and your shoes. Like, I think by this point they might be ruined. We're walking home, you know, we're just sort of chatting, and then it's silent, and then she just looks at me, she's like, you went on a date today, didn't you? And I was like, oh, like, what? Like, no, yeah, I did. How did you know? And she was like, well, you know, you got really dressed up. Moral of the story is always check that your shoes aren't going to rub your feet. You know, take plasters. I now actually basically take plasters with me wherever I go. specifically for my feet. This is always something like my friends always laugh at me about. I remember messaging my best friend that evening because, you know, she messaged me, she was like, how did it go? She was the only person who knew I was going on a date. She's like, you know, how did it go? Like, she was so excited because, you know, I'd never been on a date before in my life. Before this, I was like, what do I do? Like, told her, and I was like, oh, but you know, by the way, you know, my feet bled. And she was like, well, what do you mean? So I sent her pictures. I haven't been able to find the picture since. I think it's just as well. But even if I was, I wouldn't put it up on the screen because I'd probably get flagged for like horrible violence of my feet. If you also have any crazy date stories, like, let me know down in the comments. Like, we can wallow in like pity together that we've like fucked up in one way or another. And I hope yours worked out for the best as well. Mine obviously did. And I've learned some valuable life lessons, and I rarely wear those shoes anymore, so that'll serve me right. I do still have the jeans. The jeans did actually come up fairly clean, which is good. So thank you very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave your sort of date stories down in the comments below, or like how you met your partner. Love to hear about that. Don't forget to obviously like and subscribe as well, and I will see you guys in another video. Bye!